Hey everybody, how's it going? This is the Mr. Rogers show. It's me, your your wonderful host, Marisa, aka Dianetics. Um, yeah, did that sound? I'm getting more professional sounding, aren't I? The Dianetics show. No, honestly, I prefer to be called by my real name. My real name is Marisa. I set this channel up as Dianetics, kind of as a joke. I didn't think it would stick, but um, it sort of did. Anyways, so I'm just kind of stopping in to say howdy and ¿qué pasó? Howdy and ¿qué pasó? Those are like the two words used out here. Um, so yeah, I've been posting a lot. I'm more of a writer. I like expressing myself in writing. That's why those of you that are my Facebook friends, I am just constantly writing like a maniac on there. And yeah, if you really want to find out about my personal life, go on my Facebook. I want to see how many of you send me friend requests. I bet you I'm going to get probably 50 friend requests after this video. And guess what? I'm going to deny all of them. So, what I wanted to talk about is a couple of things, about my community posts. I've been talking a lot about the trolls and who I am now referring to as the Turpins, which would be the Stephanie Hutchinson, Joe Spring. There's someone named like Talk to Me Goose or something like that crowd. And for those of you who are wondering who are the Turpins, they were a cult. They were part of a Pentecostal cult, kind of like what, Marilyn talks about. That's why when Marilyn makes her shows, I know she's not joking around because I've seen Pentecostals before and how they act. And I would say it's the closest, craziest thing that creeps me out as somebody that grew up in Scientology. Pentecostals scare me more than Mormons. They scare me more than Jehovah Witnesses. If you guys have never hung out with, I'm talking like the speaking in tongue Pentecostal, like the stuff that Marilyn knows about, as an ex-Scientologist, yeah, that's that's the nuttiest shit I've seen in my life outside of Scientology. So, and that's kind of just saying hi to Marilyn as well because she's helped me out a lot. And as far as the fighting goes, I honestly think, as far as the ladies, Farrell, Cheryl, Nora, and Marilyn, I have a feeling that they are eventually going to make a truce. Might not happen tomorrow, but I think it's going to happen eventually. That's just my prediction. And I did see, I read a funny comment today because I read, I see what's going on. I'm one of those people where, that song, the wheel or the eye in the sky. Remember that cheesy song from the 70s? I think it's the 70s, the eye in the sky. That's who I am. I'm kind of like the eye in the sky, watching everything. So, but there was a funny comment, and somebody said, I noticed that it's only the women in the ex-Scientology, out of all of us ex-Scientologists, they said that only the women are crazy. They said, yeah, have you noticed a trend that every single woman in that's an ex-Scientologist is crazy? And I want to tell that person that left that comment, you must have not ever watched a Chris Shelton video before, have you? Yeah, because there are a lot of crazy ex-Scientology men in this movement. I do not want to specifically name them. And actually, Aaron is not one of them. When I say crazy, I'm talking like Turpin level, batshit nut, L. Ron Hubbard crazy. That's why I'm not including Aaron. Um, but yeah, I could name probably 10 dudes that are ex-Scientologists. Now, most of them are a little bit older. They're really not in the second gen crowd of crazy, but the first generation ex-Scientologist, oh man, I could name probably 20 men from the first generation community that are ex-Scientologists that make us women look like saints. So I'm going to leave it there for the person that left that funny comment. I actually found it humorous that only the ex-Scientology women are nuts. And I think even you ex-Scientology men that are watching this are even going to laugh because you all know you're nuts. So, but yeah, I'd made a video before and it was just discussing the difference between activists, protesters, cult groupies. Now I've added the terpins, which would be I would say predominantly Reddit and Discord people that hang out there. They fall in the terpin category of the crazy Pentecostal fanatical weirdos that watch us, that are usually our parents' age. That would be the kind of the terpin crowd. So there's cult groupies. Cult groupies can be various ages. Some are young, some are older, and they're the ones that are just obsessed with hanging out with us, I guess because we grew up in a cult. Now, that used to be my terpin category, but it's now been the cult groupies. You guys have actually moved up a level in the amount of respect, ultimately, the protesters and activists, those are the most respected ones, that are admired by everyone. But then it gets into, it just goes down from there. So cult groupies used to be like Stephanie Hutchinson, until I've noticed a trend lately of a lot of these people that harass us and insult us are our mother's age. It's like, I'm 46. A lot of these women that are obsessed, that just sit here and throw the most grotesque insults. I would say like you that were on Nora's thread the other day saying, "Oh my God, look what you've become, Nora. Just look at you." I could tell by your verbiage that you're a baby boomer, okay? Because no one talks like that. I'm Generation X. We don't say like, "Oh my God, look what's become of you." That's a total baby boomer thing. And I've noticed the comments on Nora's wall, the most grotesque ones that were like, "You are seriously mentally ill. Please, you need to take care of yourself," and blah, blah, blah. You guys are baby boomers. You're old enough to be my and Nora's mom. I would say 90% of you that were leaving the twisted, demonic comments like that. And I've been around, and Nora has as well, we've been around the anti-Scientology community around the same time. Oh gosh, I would say 2012 is when it started going on Facebook, but I don't know if Nora was protesting before that, but I've been around since 2008. I got to experience the whole anonymous side of things. This is like right around like the MySpace era where MySpace was still cool. But then Facebook began shortly after. So I've been seeing things going on since 2008, honestly, as far as like the who's and the what's. That's why you guys jumping in that think you're calling the shots and that you know everything. And if I see your stupid comments, that's why you'll see me randomly jump in and correct what you guys are saying. So my point is, like, the most depraved people that insult us, that fanatically watch us, I am noticing a lot of them come from hardcore Christian fundamentalist upbringings, Christian / Pentecostal. Stephanie is a former nun that was actually in a convent. Okay, that's one example. Joe Sprigg, if I had to guess, is coming from some kind of Christian fundamentalist background as well. I'm not getting Catholic vibes from Joe. Getting some other kind of vibes from her, but it's definitely a Christian fundamentalist. Most likely her own children don't talk to her because of how jacked up she is in the head. So she comes over here, and I don't mean just Joe. I'm not just picking on you, Joe. And you should be lucky you're getting an honorable mention, even though I don't have a large following. But you, and I'm saying this to all of the women that are just like Stephanie and Joe, that hang out in Reddit, that are in your 60s and 70s. Most of you probably have children that deserted you because of how abusive and religiously obsessed you are. So now you are over here watching us to take your wrath out on us. You know, your whole golden, we have golden rods. What do you guys do? Oh, ruling with an iron rod, you know, like ruling with the iron rod with your children type bullshit. So you guys are watching us because psychologically you think you're getting back at your kids that you used to abuse. That's Dr. Sigmund's, you know, Sigmund Freud. My last name is Sigmund. That's Dr. Sigmund's psychoanalysis of the Turpin sector of trolls. Now, then there's like the protester trolls, and I can't, there's like too many of them, and I don't get it. My attitude is, unless if you're Mahatma Gandhi or Martin Luther King, there are no superstar protesters in this movement, okay? I would say Streets probably comes to the closest thing as far as being like a superstar activist and protester, because he's been very open about this from the beginning. He didn't start doing what he's been doing because of us, the anti-Scientology community. And actually, he's been protesting police brutality for many years. He started doing this because he's a concerned citizen in Los Angeles that there is a gigantic blue building that's a cult named Scientology that's the size of a frickin' Hilton resort in his neighborhood. And it's bothersome. Okay? And he's been very open about that from the beginning. He's like, I'm not doing this for any ex-Scientologist or anti-Scientologist. And you know what? We all respect him so very much for that attitude. It's extremely respectful. He's doing it for altruistic reasons. Because what I see that's going on too, this is why I don't pay attention too much to the protest things, is for one, if you are protesting because you want to be popular and, you know, you want to get the attention of your favorite Scientology YouTube star, and if that's why you're protesting, you shouldn't be protesting. Because what some of you guys are doing is your favorite YouTube star gets upset at you, and then you do this thing where you're like, I'm not protesting Scientology anymore, and I'm now going to get revenge on all of them. If you look at it, that's kind of a very distorted thought process to have. So you've only been protesting to begin with because you want attention and you want to be popular, and now you're upset, and what you felt so passionately about before, you no longer give a shit. So now you don't care if Scientology gets eliminated or not. You don't care about it. Like, you could care less if it's legal and if it remains a religion. Now you're not protesting it. Now it's revenge time, because you feel like you're not popular and you're mad at your favorite YouTube star. And that goes on. I see it. It's going on with a lot of them. And then they have like their trolls that go into everywhere and just, I don't know. It's like an army. That's why I can't get involved with it, because it's like 50 different armies of anthills and then all of their trolls supporting their protester. It's really weird when you think about it. Like, honestly, this movement is getting just way too complicated. Honestly, it never used to be like this. It really used to be simple. Like, hey, there's ex-Scientologist, there's Scientology, protesters, protest Scientology, and that was a wrap. It used to be pretty freaking easy. And now it's like these intricate groups, subgroups, Reddit groups with the Turpins and Charles Manson followers. The Charles Manson and the Dahmer crowd too. I forgot to mention that in my category of people. There's a small percentage of this community, thankfully it's extremely small, I would say 3%, that are literal Charles Manson and Jeffrey Dahmer worshippers. And they follow this community too. And I think they frequent Reddit. They're everywhere because they're just obsessed with the fact that L. Ron Hubbard knew Aleister Crowley, I'm trying to pronounce it the English way, but I can't. What's that other guy? Jack Parsons. So the Charles Manson and the Dahmer bunch, they're into the whole Jack Parsons, Aleister Crowley, L. Ron Hubbard, like black magic thing. And they also think that Charles Manson and Jeffrey Dahmer are cool dudes. They follow this community too. I used to get messed with them constantly on Facebook. They're the ones that'll message you and say things like, I'm Osa and I'm always watching you. Those are the Charles Manson Dahmer crew. That's not Osa. So if you ever get a message from somebody that says, I'm Osa and I can track you at all times and you better be careful, that's not Osa. You basically have a Charles Manson Dahmer worshiper trying to mess with your mind and spook you out because they're an interesting bunch of people. But it's going back to as far as streets altruistically protesting Scientology because he's going to protest it whether or not Aaron survives. And what I mean by that is he's going to protest it whether or not Aaron is on YouTube. And I know that's going to upset some of you, but Streets has been very vocal and upfront and blunt about that. Like, he's in it for legitimate reasons. If you are not protesting Scientology, because honestly, whether any of us are here and you live in the United States, you should be protesting Scientology because you have a gigantic cult in your country, a giant child slave labor cult in the United States of America with approximately 20,000 members is allowed to exist in your country. That's why you should be protesting Scientology, besides the child abuse portion, which comes with the package. You know, it is. I went to Flag once for a protest there in Clearwater, which for some of you exes, Clearwater is not a big deal, but for me, I mean, I've been to LA many, many times growing up as a Scientologist. I remember one time my father made a lot of money one year, and instead of taking us to Disneyland, which what most normal families would do, take their family to Disneyland, guess where my dad took us for a family vacation? Celebrity Center. Yeah, I got to stay at Celebrity Center for a week at like 9 years old when I wanted to go to freaking Disneyland instead. So, I don't know. I don't know why I'm getting off about that. That's the thing about, when you start talking on YouTube, you start like remembering things. At least my mind does, and it starts to just bounce around all over the place. My necklace keeps doing weird things. So that's my point, is like protest it because, just like how you would protest racism. Okay, now does anybody need to be around for you to protest racism, or are you able to do that because you genuinely in your soul believe that racism is bad, right? You could probably go to an anti-racism protest and not have to watch YouTube about it. You can still do it on your own volition and within your own conscience. So those of you here protesting Scientology, do it because you fucking mean it and you give a shit. Okay? Now, if YouTube got unplugged tomorrow, would you still be able to get out and protest Scientology without people watching you? That's a question some of you need to ask yourselves. Because if the answer is yes, then you guys are amazing and that's awesome. But if the answer is no, that you can't protest Scientology unless if you're being paid attention to, then what the fuck are you guys doing? I mean, I'm just being straight up and asking a question. So that's just some of the stuff. The other part is you all need to realize that some of us have personal histories with each other. Nora and Aaron, their personal history stems back 30 plus years. Now, I have a few friends that I've had for 30 plus years. Not ex-Scientology friends, as I'm the only one in the state of Arizona that grew up in Scientology. Literally. I'm not making that up. Like, in my age bracket. It was only me. Can you imagine being the only person in your entire state growing up in that shit? Yeah, that's, you guys wonder why I have my unique perspective on things sometimes. So, there's just a lot of personal history. I've had several blowouts. I've had like 5 blowouts. Not 5 blowouts, probably more than that, with Dr. Shelton. Well, you know what? I have a little personal connection with Dr. Shelton, okay? Because he used to be above my sister while my sister was running the Phoenix org. So there's a little personal history and connection, and naturally, Dr. Shelton and I are not going to see eye to eye on a lot of things. Um, we have forgave each other about 5 times. That's one thing I will say about us ex-Scientologists. We are actually an extremely forgiving group of people. We really are. Like if you say you're sorry to us, or, if there's a falling out, like Dr. Shelton, he does this thing. I don't think he's doing it anymore because he pissed every single person off in the second gen community for being an asshole 5,000 times. But like he would do this thing, Dr. Shelton, where he's like, okay, I have a conscience now and I'm realizing I may have screwed up, so I'm unblocking everyone and, I'm going to be friends with everyone again and I'm sorry to anyone that I've ever offended. Like, so we have forgave and made up like 5 times, but we would have massive blowouts. And it finally got to the point after the 5th time of forgiving someone and realizing that they're always going to just be a self-centered asshole. About the 5th time, yeah, time to go bye-bye. That's not disconnection either, folks, because you guys do it in your life. If there's someone that you don't like and you can't stand, and they're being, if what you feel is mentally or like physically abusive towards you, what do you people out there do? You stop talking to them, right? Maybe it takes a few months, maybe it takes a few years, but eventually you cut ties with the person. That's not disconnection. Disconnection, which I have experienced, I will give you an example of disconnection. First of all, it's a Scientology policy. Those of you that were never in Scientology, no one is disconnecting from you. Stop using that term, okay? Because that is a practice that only happens while you're in the Church of Scientology. Or the independent Scientologists, they disconnect from each other too. I've seen it happen. They're a funny bunch to watch. I see them like writing knowledge reports up about each other and like posting it online. I'm friends with a couple of indies, by the way, but you guys and your public knowledge reports on each other, you guys gotta stop doing that shit. Because you know what? It gets used by other people, and you kind of give an example of what you guys are doing, and it's gonna get made fun of. That's just my friendly suggestion. So, anyways, yeah, disconnection. My sister disconnected from us at one point because she was the executive director of the org out here, and my mother was declared a suppressive person. Now, you people watching us, you're never going to be suppressive persons because you never were in Scientology. So you don't have to worry about it. So don't use that term for yourselves either. So, because my mother was declared, my sister was ordered by the Church of Scientology to disconnect from our mother. And with disconnection, it is not only the mother, but whoever is connected to the mother. So guess who that means? That means me, her brother, her children, our aunts, our grandparents, the whole entire family. 5 generations of family that my sister cannot talk to. That is disconnection. Disconnection is not Aaron and Nora deciding to not speak to each other. And you people saying that, stop. because it's stupid and it's actually lessening the severity of what disconnection actually is. It's like you guys think that this is some little kiddie joke, and it's not. Disconnection is a serious thing. It's absolutely horrible. And to sit there and say when we get mad at each other or if we don't talk to someone, we're using Scientology disconnection, that's one of the most ignorantly stupid things I've ever heard. So there you go. And there's going to be people, because we all come from different countries. I know that we are known as assholes to begin with here in America. And there's people that watch us that are going to just think we're assholes because of where we live. So, I don't know. There's so much more I wanted to discuss, but now that I'm discussing it, I'm forgetting half of it. I just think some of you, if you are that obsessed with us, you know, like Nora's video, and I saw some people leaving like 50 comments, and they're the Turpin. It was a Turpin family level, like Joe Sprigg, Stephanie Hutchinson category. Could tell it was one of those people, because just the verbiage was like, you know, shame on you, and you know, you need serious help, but like these lengthy, like 4 paragraph long jumbled up ramblings, but this person left 50 of those. Okay, if you're at a level where you're messaging us more than 10 times in one day about anything, unless if we're having a conversation with you, you're batshit nuts. You guys get help. So I'm trying to explain a little bit of the background. We have always fought with each other. There's always been second gen little spats. They don't happen that often, but when they do, it happens. Okay? I've had my share. The majority of when I was doing my anti-Scientology thing was like probably the 2013, 2015 era, as far as like the social media stuff, because there was no YouTube back then. I used to get into fights constantly with like first generation Scientologists. Like we would constantly go at it with each other, because they made up, I would say, 95% of who was being vocal at the time. Because there were only a few of us second gens kind of speaking out around 2015 when you really take a look at it. So I don't know. And yeah, I don't do chats because basically I have a very low tolerance level for gullibility. And for your sake and my own, I don't want to do chats. Because there's going to be someone in there that says something, or the trolls that will go in there and leave 50 comments. And it's just going to annoy the shit out of me. And I don't want to be annoyed. I like living a simple life. And I like being able to handle what I can manage. So, that's why. And yeah, I don't monetize my channel for a few reasons that, you know, I don't really wish to publicly disclose, but I have my reasons. And I told someone earlier, I would just say that the censorship angle has a lot to do with it. Is why I don't get involved with the content creator program. So, I don't know. I think that's all that needs to be said at this point. I'm just giving you guys like a little bit of background, and don't get me wrong, I would say the majority of people that are here are supportive and are helpful, but it's kind of getting to a point where 50% of the people are not. And they're just very depraved, twisted individual, like Turpin level and Manson Dahmer style, or people that are just protesting because they want to feel popular. And I would first of all tell you, ex-Scientologists are not a group of people that you want to hang out with to feel popular, because we're really not that cool, honestly. some of us are, but I'm saying if you're wanting to be popular, I would want to go hang out with like some cool, I don't know, like rappers or Kardashian style people. That's who I would want to hang out with to be cool, not ex-Scientology people. If that makes sense. Although, some of you really are wanting to be friends or have bonded friendships with us, and I'm deeply grateful and appreciative towards those of you. So it's just the 50% of people that are around here that are, um, I don't know, they're just here for very, like I said, very demented, distorted reasons. And I personally don't care if they leave. And you guys shouldn't be worrying about Aaron and Nora's fight to begin with because they've known each other for 30 years. If you're that worried about it and you wake up in the morning and the first thing on your mind is, what's Aaron and Nora up to? You need to get your medication dosage upped a little bit. So that's all I'm going to say for now. Hope y'all had an awesome weekend and take care. Bye.